Alrighty, welcome back to the J Center podcast. And Jesse, well, first of all, Owen Hill and Jesse Burrow back with you here today. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but Jesse, there's literally nothing else to say than Jays lose their fifth straight series, lose 2 out of 3 to the Milwaukee Brewers. They're now 7-11 on the season, and that is a 63 win pace. Jesse, how are you feeling?
Well, we are the third worst team in the American League right now. We're tied with the Boston Red Sox, who I'm pretty sure when we did our season preview episode, I had the Blue Jays and the Red Sox top of the AL East. And who knows, maybe that still might happen. But to be honest, Owen, I am not feeling so great about this Toronto Blue Jays team right now. Half our pitching staff is hurt, half our offense is hurt, and even the guys we have here aren't hitting. Does not feel very good right now to be a fan of our Toronto Blue Jays.
What's going well for this team? Name one thing that's going well for this team right
now. Not everybody is hurt, ? There are still some players that are still kicking around. We shout out to Brandon Valenzuela. The real answer is there are some names in the bullpen that are pitching okay, but that kind of turned its head a little bit in this series too. So there's not a lot.
Brother, if that's the one thing that we can look at and we're that's going for us. And it's not even the guys that are really important in the bullpen. Jeff Hoffman finally turned his ugly head and blew a game in this series. The one game that the Blue Jays actually ended up winning. We finally got some decent starts, Patrick Corbin and Dylan Cease. Shout out to those two guys, and Kevin Gausman was even good as well. But you lost back-to-back 2-1 games and just absolutely wasted maybe the only good start Patrick Corbin has for this team coming. Jesse, man, I understand how many built-in excuses this team has, but when you enter a season expected to repeat as American League champions, maybe not expected, but expected to at least compete for that, and this is the product that we're getting to watch. Dude, they are on a 63 win pace. That's what we're watching so far this series, and it's so early. I get it. There's so much time to turn around, but I'm having a hard time not being really, really frustrated turning on this baseball team every day.
Yeah, I said it last episode. You're never as good as you look when things are going good, and you're never as bad as you look when things are going bad. Yet somehow we played even worse this series against the Brewers than we did in our last series. And in a way, Owen, this series loss against the Milwaukee Brewers somehow kind of feels worse than getting swept by the Colorado Rockies did. Just because the Milwaukee was playing really bad coming in here. They had lost 5 in a row, and you thought maybe the Blue Jays could find a way to get things going a little bit, but no, man, it's dreadful. And they're a really, really tough watch right now.
No, man, the Milwaukee Brewers are also playing hospital ball right now. They're very injured. Yes. And I get probably nobody's as injured as the Jays are right now, but at the same time, you've done a lot to plug holes, and I understand and I guess this is the greater 1,000-foot view, bird's eye view conversation that we have to have about this baseball team at some point. And maybe it's not yet, but when your 4, 5, and 6 hitters look like Jesus Sanchez, Lenyn Sosa, yet he's a Blue Jay now. That's new since the last time we talked. And then Kazuma Okamoto, who is off to one of the worst starts to a big league career that I've seen in a long time. I don't know what else we can expect other than 1-run scores. They've been I don't know. There's just they don't have the personnel, dude. I'm having a hard time feeling comfortable or confident in any hitter that the Jays send up to the plate right now.
Yeah, and that was a question I was going to ask you is out of all the Blue Jays in the lineup right now, who do you feel good about is going to be able to produce when they step into the plate?
Well, it's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Dalton Varsho's hot right now.
Right.
Maybe Davis Schneider. Other than that, I could leave everyone else, dude. I don't Andres Jimenez has probably been their best hitter all throughout the season. And when we're having that conversation, and he hasn't even been that good. He's been solid. He's been quite good relative to expectations. But when we're having the conversation where Andres Jimenez is carrying the team offensively, we're starting to get into a real problem. And I was really worried that for those who don't know, we record these pods late. We're about 11:45 at night on Thursday here. I was worried I would not be able to describe exactly how upset I was, but the second we started talking about this, it got me right back on it, man. And I understand why it's happening. I'm starting to get frustrated because I don't see how this problem gets solved anytime soon.
Yeah, and I don't think you're alone here in that feeling of anger or despair or just unacceptableness from the Toronto Blue Jays right now. the real answer is they got to get through, they got to get healthy, but we can't speed up health, right? For example, Addison Barger, like today was this 10th day on the IL. He was supposed to come back today. We'll get to our injury updates, but it sounds like he's still out another week or so. So even like the injury updates we were supposed to get have seemed to be on the worse side than the positive side for the Toronto Blue Jays right now. It's tough. Like Miles Straw is our third best hitter on the season by WRC plus, if you give him enough bats to qualify. That's
that passes the eye test.
That's just, it does. And shout out Miles Straw. He's looked okay in the at-bats he's had, but like, man, that should never happen with how deep this Toronto Blue Jays team was supposed to be.
Okay, and so I want to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I know this is reactionary and wrong and based on small sample sizes, and I'm a smarter baseball fan than what I'm about to say. But if we're getting everything off our chest right now, like we're talking about getting the guys who are injured back. That's George Springer, who's going to be playing on a broken toe and like was really not good when we saw him. He was heating up about the time where he got hurt. Yep. So like, I'm not saying George Springer's not like going to help this team. I think he absolutely is. But at the same time, like, it's not like he was like setting the world on fire when he got hurt. Addison Barger was hitting like Nathan Lucas with biceps when he went down. Alejandro Kirk, and we can talk about the defense and the catching and like what he brings to the team is a lot more than what he brings to the plate. But we're like, you just scored one run in back-to-back games, and it's the reason why you lost like a series. And like you should have had a chance to sweep, dude. Like your pitching staff held the team to 2 runs on back-to-back days, and you couldn't win either of those games. Like, I understand I'm all over the place with what I'm trying to get at right now, but even the guys who are hurt, like they'll help, but it's not like instant solutions. And that's what I'm struggling to see is because they have dug this hole to a 7-11 pace it's really bad. It's so bleak, Jesse.
Right. Because ultimately, like we just kind of need to see the players on our team start playing better. Like Vlad's been good, but he only has the 1 home run and 7 RBIs on the season. Like you kind of need more from Vlad at this point in the game too, right? Jimenez and Varsho, okay, they've done their stuff, but Varsho started out really slow. And it's like Okamoto needs to be better. Ernie Clement, we kind of need to see that magic, that extra base thump from Ernie. Like George Springer needs to be a little bit better. I can go up and down the list. Nathan Lucas, by the way, if he had enough at bats to qualify, would be the 4th worst hitter in all of baseball. Like that just... we weren't expecting much from Nathan Lucas, but like the Jays kind of need something to come from guys like that on their roster. And that's why we're kind of scrapping at the heat for like a Lenyn Sosa who, hey, has looked good in his 3 games so far, but the bar is not very high. And that's why he's hitting 5th in this lineup right now, because the Blue Jays just kind of need literally anybody who can put some good at-bats together. And I'm not going to be surprised if we see Eloy Jimenez get more of a run here. Miles Straws look good. Honestly, start him. Put him in there and let's go and just see what happens. See if you can get 2 hits out of him, because the Jays just desperately need somebody who can get some hits together.
Yeah. So like the product on the field has been sickening to watch, but I will say, and I just want to shout out the front office for what they're doing. And like, that's a kind of a crazy thing to say because we know how hard people in Toronto and Jays fans are on this front office, but shout out to what they've done for like continuing to try and like help this team keep their head above water while they're waiting for all these guys to get back. Like bringing in Patrick Corbin, like a lot of teams have injuries. They don't make a signing like that. They just rely on their AAA depth or go to someone even like more bottom of the barrel than Patrick Corbin, like and so like sign a minimum. And they don't make this trade for Lenyn Sosa, and like they don't like bring Eloy Jimenez up. Like, you know what I'm trying to say here? Like, they have done a lot to augment this team and like help them stay above water, like in the meantime. And I think that is an important thing. And unfortunately, the results aren't paying off yet because they're not winning any games. But I see what they're trying to do, and they're doing all they can. Like, there's literally nothing to be mad about right now other than how they're playing.
Yes, and that's what maybe would give the Blue Jays fans some hope here, because eventually these players, they're all too good to be playing this bad. Kind of sucks that it's all happening at the same time. It will turn around, but we'd like to see it sooner rather than later. I do want to give, I'm with you, I want to give some credit to the general managers here. The Tyler Fitzgerald move, even though we didn't see him, was another example of them coming together to trying to do something. And look, you can't win the division in April, but you can lose it. And I just had a piece go up at J Center, which kind of analyzed the injuries and the most injured teams over the years. And there is still a chance of the teams making the playoffs, but the teams that really do are the teams that had such a high base to begin with. Like you were coming off 100+ wins the year before. The Jays kind of aren't that. So they need to find a way to get their wins and get them quickly. And I feel like the front office knows this and is trying hard to plug away at this roster to help us stay afloat. So they're doing their part. It's up to the players now.
Yeah, it's up to the players now. And I think now's the time to mention the playoff odds coming into today. So again, before today's loss, 32.6%. That means in more than 2/3 of the simulations that Fangraphs runs, the Blue Jays do not make the playoffs. And like, again, that number is going to fall because they're now 4 games under 500 instead of 3. And it just, Jesse, it gets more bleak by the day, man.
To lose like 30% in your playoff odds in 3 weeks of baseball, 18 games of baseball it's almost amazing, but not in a good way. Like it's astounding that can even happen. I will say, Owen, as the optimist of the two of us here, if you want to be positive, at one point in the end of May last year, the Blue Jays had about a 22% chance of making the playoffs, according to those simulations. And they did get in then. But can the Blue Jays end up on the high side of variance twice? I'm not so sure. And yeah, those odds are falling, and they are falling very, very fast.
Okay, it's too early for this conversation, but like, so these playoff odds are not like I don't see how the Jays turn this around as quickly as we need them to again. And I think it's important to say like a 6-2 stretch over your next 8 games gets you back to 500. Like that's good. Where the American League East and the American League is at right now, like they are right there. They just need like a little bit of sustained, like good play. They need to string a few wins together and they're fine. The only issue is I haven't seen anything to indicate that is on its way. But I just want to know, like, if these playoff odds continue to plummet and they're out of the race by like the end of May, what do they play for, Jesse? Like, do they sell at the debt? Like, I don't even know. Like, this team has no direction other than just compete. Like, you have almost a $300 million payroll.
Yeah, I mean, that is way too early for that conversation of whether or not we're going to sell at the trade deadline or not. We'll cross that bridge when and if we get there. But I've always said, like, if you have Vlad under contract for $300 million and he's still on the field, you are never going to go through a rebuild, if you will, per se. So I don't think the Blue Jays are in danger of that. But hey, there was a situation where the Blue Jays truly are the second worst team in the American League, and that does happen. But boy, that would suck for us. It would be a terrible, terrible summer. But sure, if that does happen, then we'll explore that. But I think the Blue Jays still need to do everything they can to try to win.
No, it was a dumb question for me. Like, obviously, like we're too early for that conversation. I understand that, but it's just like, hey, what are we doing if not winning baseball games? And I honestly have no idea what the solution is to actually start winning baseball games. I guess we can get more granular here if you want. Like, what was your I wanted to say what was your favorite thing from the week, but like, what was your least favorite thing? What was the hardest thing for you to watch? What got you the most upset?
This probably isn't the real answer, but it was kind of hilarious to me in a 2026 Blue Jays way that the Milwaukee Brewers are literally gifting you game 1 of this series by having Trevor McGill, who's really struggled, give you a lead, and the Blue Jays do good things and they score a bunch of runs. And then Jeff Hoffman, who's been dynamite for the past 4 or 5 outings, comes in and immediately can't throw a strike, and he tries to give it all back. It was objectively hilarious to me that is how this Blue Jays season was going to go. It was not my least favorite because that was the game we ultimately won in this series, and I am very much here for Blue Jays winning baseball games. But that was kind of how the season of 2026 seems to have gone. Like, even when things are good, they're not good. And that's how I felt.
Yeah, exactly. You plug one hole and it just opens up another one. And that's exactly how it felt. Like, oh my God, you finally scored a bunch of runs. You took a lead late and you give the ball to your best guy who's been awesome for the entire season at this point. Like, really hasn't had a bad outing and since opening day when he gave up a homer and he blows the game. And I think we might be, I don't know if we're past the discourse on this, but if you looked online on Jay's Twitter or like anywhere you can find conversations about or with Blue Jays fans, they want Jeff Hoffman's head on a spike. Like, they want him demoted from the closer's job. And I want your opinion on that. I know where I stand on it and I'll give my thoughts, but I want to know what you think.
I still think on a pure stuff basis and a pure like metrics, I think Jeff Hoffman is probably our best reliever in the bullpen, and I want our best reliever in the bullpen in pitching in the ninth inning. I understand the blown leads are frustrating, and I understand that sometimes they cost us games we can't really afford to lose right now. I get all that, but I still think Jeff Hoffman is our best option for that ninth inning.
I agree. I think Jeff Hoffman is going to be the guy unless he continues like looking like he looked. Obviously, he was really bad on what was that game, Tuesday, when he blew the lead that you had just earned. Like, I get that, but like those outings are going to happen. Like, I think I lean on the side of it was just one bad outing. Of course, I think it's a little bit funny. Like, I don't know if funny's not the word, but it's the word I'm going to use. He has more blown saves this season than saves. He's actually like converted 3 blown saves and 2 converted saves, which like that's just ugly. He's pitched well in non-save situations. Like, so like the numbers still look good. He's still striking out like 40% of his hitters he's facing. Like he's been overall had a very good start to the season. Of course, just like his worst outings have come in the worst spots.
And that's the thing, right? Like that's the problem with the closer. Maybe like in a perfect world, Jeff Hoffman is like the best version of himself if he's an 8th inning guy. But the problem is like, I don't think we just have a guy that could do the 9th is the only issue. Like if we go out and sign, like if we had signed Edwin Diaz, who, hey, he's having his own issues in LA right now. But if we had signed one of these top end closers and Jeff Hoffman becomes your 8th inning guy, then maybe that's the way to get the best out of Jeff Hoffman. But we don't have that guy on our roster. And Louis Varland's been fantastic. I get that, but I still don't think he's like a better option than Jeff Hoffman. Maybe he is like right now, maybe he will be tomorrow, and maybe that's all that matters. But I think in the long term, I would still want Jeff Hoffman in that 9th.
Well, even if Louis Varland is a better option for like any given inning than Jeff Hoffman, I think you'd rather have Varland in the role that he's currently in, unless you want to swap roles. But like, I think you can lose a game just as easily in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning as you can in the 9th inning. And I really like the fact that Louis Varland can like do an up down or come into an inning with guys on base and get a strikeout, or face like 2, 3, 4 in the 7th inning or 8th inning. And I totally believe in Jeff Hoffman's ability to do pretty much all that stuff. But at the same time, like I think Louis Varland thrives in the role he's in. And like obviously he's kind of the only option to like the only other option to close a game on this team, unless like we could do Ty Rogers conversations. And we're going to talk about him later in this episode, I'm sure. So like, I don't know who else you're going to point to if it's not Jeff Hoffman.
Yeah, the only vote I will give to Louis Varland is that he's a little bit of a freak. And to be a closer, you kind of got to be a little bit of a freak. Like you got to, he's barking at the media and whatnot. He's a little bit scary out there. And so I understand maybe he's got that built inside of him for some reason, but I agree. Still Jeff Hoffman for the time being. Maybe this changes in another week or two, but that's where I'm standing right now.
I think it has to get I hate saying this because if we say it, it will tempt them, but I think it has to get a whole lot worse for them to switch Hoffman out. And here we go. It's gonna be my fault now. Sorry. Okay. So if we're doing bullpen talk, we have to talk Tyler Rogers, and you and I had a little bit of a text conversation. We had a little bit of a text conversation about this right after they lost. It was game 2 of this series. They lost 2-1. They carried a lead into, I think it's the 8th inning. And Tyler Rogers basically got BABIP'd to death, gave up 2 runs without giving up a hard hit ball. Only 1 ball got out of the infield, and that was like a worm burner ground ball. That wasn't even like a hard hit ball, under 95 miles an hour. There was a Brandon Valenzuela error involved in there. And I was a little bit frustrated with the usage of him. And I don't even know if it's fair because I don't know who else you would have gone to. So this is a little bit of a straw man argument from me, but it felt like you were leaning in to what the Brewers already do really well when you bring him into the game, because Tyler Rogers is a guy that is going to get soft contact. And what do the Brewers do really well is put the ball in play. And what else do the Brewers do really well is they run really fast. So a team that is already trying to just make contact, it seemed like it made their job a whole lot easier by giving them a guy who was trying to let them make contact.
Right. And I see where you're coming from with making this argument here, is that the other team has built their team around contact and getting ball in play. So we're giving in a pitcher that's going to amplify their strength even more. I get that. The real answer is, who else are you going to put in there? Maybe Varland, but because of Jeff Hoffman's mess the day before. Barland had to come in the day before, so you couldn't do him. Tommy Nance and I think Spencer Miles are really your only other options at that point. So you were always going to pitch Tyler Rogers at some point in this series. You paid him a lot of money to come in late in games and to hold a lead. It wasn't really Tyler Rogers' fault here. I'm still not worried about him much at all. The walk, honestly, was the biggest thing that really hurt him in that inning. But other than that, like, yeah, he was fine. And I think this is just, he was bound to give up a run eventually, and it just happened to be in a really bad spot. Story of the Blue Jays season so far.
Yeah, it's not even a mad at Tyler Rogers thing for me. Like, it's just, it was a frustrating, like, of course, that's how this happened. Like, I could see it happening. Like, as soon as he came out, I was like, oh, no, like, they're just going to put the ball in play softly. And that's exactly what they did. And ended up burning them. And speaking of putting the ball in play softly, like, the Brewers did it again today.
Yes.
Was it a walk and then 3 straight bunts, like, to score 2 runs against, who was it? Like, Tommy Nance, I think was even on the, I don't even remember. Like, just,
yes,
like the worst baseball you've ever seen in your life, Jesse.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because the Blue Jays and Brewers have kind of built their two teams similar to each other. Like, we're going to put the ball in play, we're going to play good defense, and then we'll hit the occasional 3-run home run as we get out there. The Brewers were also struggling a lot like the Blue Jays were coming into the series, but the Brewers went out and found a way. Right? I'm not the biggest fan of bunts, but they executed their bunts perfectly in this series. They moved guys over when they had to. They brought guys in. They were really, really good there. The Blue Jays were not finding a way to get that done. And I'd say the Brewers deserve to win this series based on that stuff alone. And that is the thing the Toronto Blue Jays always did when they, especially last year, when we weren't hitting home runs, when things weren't going as crisp, they found a way to do the little things right to win them ball games. And it is not happening right now. And the Brewers did that in this series. And the Blue Jays need to pick that up and take that with them going forward.
Well, I want to push back on that a little bit, because, like, these teams, you're right, they're built similarly. The Jays slugged 25 points better than the Brewers did last year. Like, that's the difference between 7th and 12th. Like, that's a very big difference. Like, the Jays are designed, and the real version of the Toronto Blue Jays is a more damage-doing team than the Milwaukee Brewers. At the same time, I know exactly what you're trying to say. It's a put the ball in play centric offense. These are the 2 best teams at not striking out in baseball. I know what you're trying to say, and I think you are right about that, and you're exactly right about the little things. And this kind of leads us right into the conversation about the defense, Jesse, because I think you and I have both kind of looked at it, and I'll tell you right now, from the eye test, it does not look like the defense that we've come to expect watching this team. And I've got a couple numbers here that kind of back that up.
I will just say before we move on, if you look at this team stats on this season, Milwaukee has a higher slugging percentage as a team than the Blue Jays. Their WOBA is actually the exact same, but a higher WRC plus for the Brewers this year. So they're doing it even a little better. But go on, let's touch on defense here.
Well, okay, so I will say, like, if we're going to call, like, the Blue Jays at this point in the season what the Toronto Blue Jays are, like, this is not how the Blue Jays are built to be. You're missing,
correct,
like, maybe your 2 best power hitters in George Springer and Addison Barger. Like, maybe your, like, 1, 2, and 4 if you count Anthony Santander, right? Like, this team is not built to be a slap hitting team. Like, the Blue Jays are designed to put the ball in play and slug. That's why they went to the World Series last year. Like, you don't go to the World Series without slug. And I know, like, I'm not trying to fight you on this, but I'm just like, this is why we're frustrated with the team, is because they're not slugging and they're not doing what they're not doing what they're built to do.
Yep, I agree. And it did take into the second half last year for the Blue Jays really to get going, but you kind of really thought they would take their success in the second half and carry it into the season this year, and they haven't been doing that. A lot of their guys, too, are swinging slower, which is interesting, because if you're trying to build that team that can mash, there's a pretty good correlation between bat speed and exit velocities. And it's weird that, like, the hitting coaches have got a lot of these hitters to change their approach. And they obviously know more than you and I do here, Owen, but just logically, that doesn't make much sense to me. And I would love to know what the thought process is from that decision.
Okay, so we're going to get to the defense, but I think that might have a lot to do with, like genuinely, and it's such like I don't know if it's even a real thing, but they're gripping the bats too tight. Like, they are they're trying to get the big hit in the big spot. It's an approach thing. They're not being free and easy at the plate. Like, and it doesn't sound like, it sounds old timey baseball. Like, I'm more analytical than that, but I promise you, like, there is a serious psychological thing because hitting is contagious in both the good ways and the bad ways. Because when you see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Ground into a double play in the biggest spot in the game right in front of you,
Yeah.
like you're like, oh, if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is doing that, what am I going to do? I'm probably going to strike out. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, they, as a collective, have been just bad, and they need somebody to light a spark under them. And that's what's so frustrating is in game one of each of the last two series, I thought we finally found that. In the 10-run game against the Twins, 9 runs against the Brewers in game one, Miles Straw with a huge double. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., massive double off the left field fence in extra innings to score the zombie runner. Like, that's the conversation we should be having, but they haven't been able to carry that momentum at all. And that's what shows up in one-run performances in back-to-back games.
I agree. And your old-timey baseball take, hey, those things have been around for thousands, for decades now of watching baseball, right? And there have just been analytics that have kind of just proved those things to be true. And maybe you're right. Maybe, you know, as George Springer once said, when you hang a banner, you hang a target. And maybe the Blue Jays are feeling the pressure to live up to expectations now that they know they're supposed to be good. And maybe they are getting in their head a little bit and whatnot. So you might be onto something there. I wonder then, to fix that, is that just the coaches need to get a hold of things? Because John Schneider saying post game, like, nope, you can tell John Schneider's feeling the pressure here. He's like, we've got to win, we've got to go. Whoever's playing good, they're gonna play. He's kind of called out his team a little bit today too after the game, saying like, we got to turn this around, we got to turn this around now. Which you like to see that from your manager, but it does feel like the Blue Jays are playing under pressure. And I don't know if that's the best thing for their team success.
Yeah, no, like last year it was all about like the vibes and like they were just going to show up to the ballpark and have fun. And it doesn't seem like anyone's having fun right now. And obviously you and I aren't in the clubhouse and like we're not with the team. So it's impossible for us to say, like, it's all speculative at this point. And like me trying to get into someone's head when they're at the plate is obviously not real. Like all I can like relate to is like my own OUA baseball. And I know, like, oh, when I'm hitting with runners in scoring position in the big spot, like I hold the bat a little bit tighter and I feel more pressure to get something done. And like my swing probably slows down because I'm trying not to strike out. And I know I have to put the ball in play to like try and get a hit. And maybe like the approach does change. It's a real thing. And like, obviously me talking about my own experience in baseball is a lot different than what these guys are doing. But all I'm trying to say is like, maybe that has something to do with it. Anyways, we talked about the small details, and that's what they need to get back to. And a big part of that is the defense. And I think we got to talk about it because, like,
yes,
Jesse, these are not the Blue Jays that we've become accustomed to.
Yes. As a team, as a whole, they had built their identity off, we're going to play, you know, we talked about the contact and small ball and stuff, but the defense was really their claim to fame. Like the Blue Jays kind of built a strong defensive team kind of before it was cool. They were like, that's how we're going to do it. We might not score the most, but we're going to prevent the most runs. And on the whole, Owen, it hasn't looked that good. Last episode, we mentioned that like Dalton Varsho's defense doesn't look that great anymore. And like, we're even seeing it, you know, we thought it would be better up the middle with Ernie Clement and Andres Jimenez, and they're having their moments, but we're seeing a lot of balls go off gloves. We're seeing more errors from our catching position than I think we've ever had. It's been a while since we've had that many errors in the catching position, but Heineman, who was good last year, isn't doing it. Brandon Valenzuela, who's, you know, he's a rookie and he's showing like he's a rookie catcher. Like it's been very odd and uncharacteristic like. And you kind of need to see that turn around too before the Blue Jays can really get going.
Yeah, so all things considered, I actually really do like what I've seen from Brandon Valenzuela. Like on the whole, like again, 1,000-yard view, like a bird's eye view. I like what I've seen from him at the plate. I think the approach is okay. I think defensively, like he receives well. His arm is pretty awesome. He's thrown out, I think, 2 base runners now. He's been really good throwing, but they miss Kirk so bad, man. And it's the same with Heineman. Like there's just like some little things, and it's like the ball gets put in play, and I don't trust these guys to make plays. And I would actually guess Kirk would probably be the worst of the 3 in the field of play trying to make plays. But you just don't realize how much you miss him. And I think that is where the conversation with the defense starts. Again, I don't think that one guy can absolutely tank you to the point where they've been tanked, because I got to mention, like, they are 9th in baseball in fielding run value right now after being the best in 2025. That's a big time drop. And these things do take a long time to stabilize, like one of the longest stats to stabilize. So it's not like panic button. Like these things can get better, but they're also 12th in outs above average after being 7th last year. Again, like another 5-spot drop. These are real things that are happening to the Blue Jays that if you're not going to score a whole bunch of runs like you have become accustomed to last year, like you need to tighten that up.
Yeah, another stat for you. Defensive runs saved, which is another one the Blue Jays love. They were 4th last season. We're 18th this year. We've saved 2 runs because of our defense when we had 51 last season. Like it's just this, the metrics have even said the Blue Jays defense as a whole have not been good. And like they really should be. Like you lose Bo Bichette, who was the worst defender on the team last year, and you replace him with Kazuma Okamoto, who's had his moments. And I do want to touch on an individual play at some point here, but like, yeah, it's been odd. Just been odd. And I don't really know how it happens overnight like that. Maybe you're right. Losing Alejandro Kirk is the bigger deal than I thought it was going to be when we did. And that's probably what's happening here. And boy, if anything, it just means please make sure that thumb is okay and get back here as soon as you can, because the Blue Jays need you.
Yeah, so I'll say like it probably has a lot to do with a lot of Jesus Sanchez starts in left field and / right field, and like more than they probably want to play him out there, he's playing out there. He's also hitting cleanup, which is like maybe the most overexposed a hitter has ever been in baseball. So not to pile on the guy, but I like what I've seen from him. Anyways, like missing Kirk is huge. Okamoto, like I think has been bad defensively according to the eye test. Like I don't know about like his like granular like defensive statistics, but like according to the eye test, he's been bad. And I know the exact play you want to talk about, and it's the one I think it was Hoffman on the mound. No, it was Varland on the mound in the extra innings, and it didn't end up burning them. But like a ground ball right at Andres Jimenez, and Kazuma Okamoto's cutting in front of him and deflecting the ball into left field just off his glove, super flat-footed. Like he seems flat-footed on like pretty much every play. Every time the ball gets to him, the arm's been fine. But like I don't know. I just really haven't liked what I've seen from him.
Yeah, so the eye test says just that. He actually did apologize to Andres Jimenez. They were doing their handshakes at the end of the game on the pitcher's mound, and you can see Kazuma he gave like a bow or said like my bad, gave a pat, and Andres, I couldn't see what Andres Jimenez was doing, but he knew what he did was wrong and made an apology to Andres Jimenez after that. If you look at the stats too, Owen, they're bad for Kazuma Okamoto. 7th percentile in fielding run value. He's 6th percentile in his range, outs above average, with a 22nd percentile sprint speed either. The Blue Jays have him playing deeper at third base to try to accommodate for some of that. And I found this metric that talks about like the Blue Jays as a team and their defensive shift and like how many runs and runs prevented or gained based on where they are positioned on the infield. And when I last looked, which is about 3 days ago, they were the worst in baseball at it. So their positioning has even worse. So that is very interesting, and it seems to be hurting the Toronto Blue Jays here, and Kazuma Okamoto is a part of it. I think, he started at first base in the season, in the finale here with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. playing in DH, and I wonder if we're going to see less playing time for Kazuma Okamoto going forward.
So, oh my God, it's okay. Well, first of all, with the defensive statistics,
there's a lot there, right? Yeah,
yeah, I know. there is a lot there. First of all, these things take a long time to stabilize. Like, so it's not panic button time yet. Like, you're gonna get Addison Barger back, who's a good defender. Like he can play third base. So when he comes back, maybe that's where you lose the Kazuma Okamoto at bats. Like, I don't really know. You're going to get Kirky back eventually, and he might be a little bit longer. That's going to help the defense. Like these things are going to be probably, hopefully better. I think this is probably the worst of it. I just have to like trust the track record of these guys. Okay, back to Okamoto. Do you think the Jays didn't get the player they thought they were getting with him?
No, I think they did. The problem is like when he was still a free agent and there was talk about Kazuma Okamoto, like there were teams that were genuinely concerned about his defense, and all reports were that the Blue Jays were more optimistic about his defense than other teams were. So maybe the Blue Jays were just wrong. I don't know. It's interesting.
So, that's my question though. That's what. Yeah. Well, no, that's my question. That's why I want to know. Like, are they not getting did they not get the player they thought they were getting? Because if they were wrong, that means they didn't get the player that they thought they were getting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Then like whose fault is this? Is this the scout's fault? Is this the general manager's fault? Like because the defense is one of the worst in baseball early, like 18 games into the season here. And that's a problem. And like, it's really costing the Blue Jays here. Like the fact that they've already had to change his positioning stuff. They're trying to baby him in a way. Andres Jimenez too, I've noticed, has played a lot more closer to third base than he ever has in a shortstop career. And I wonder if, maybe that was a fault that the Blue Jays weren't getting the guy they wanted here, saying nothing about his offensive time either.
Yeah. So I'm more optimistic about the offense than the defense. Like the defense maybe can get like a little bit better, but like the range isn't going to get better. This is a guy who's already 29 years old. He's got 4 years left on this deal. And like, I'm not like, it's so 18 games into his Major League Baseball career is way too early to talk about this. And it's again, a bad question, a panic button question for me. And I'm a smarter baseball fan than to ask those questions. I promise everyone listening, but it's just like, he's just not, when you're not providing anything with the bat, we've become accustomed to the Blue Jays that don't provide anything with the bat or are struggling are going to play solid defense. They're going to do the little things well. They're going to run the bases well and hard. And like, it seems like he's just not bringing anything because he's not hitting at all. And the defense is bad. And he's overall just like, I think just been a big negative. And I think it's a lot worse because the team around him is also doing pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah. And the problem is too, like, the Blue Jays kind of factored in some Okamoto struggles early on in the season, but with all the injuries now, he's healthy and the Blue Jays know he can produce. It's in there somewhere. And the fact he hasn't has probably put a bigger magnifying glass on this than it probably should have at this point in the season, which is unfair to Okamoto. But like, Jays fans are going to turn on him. And nobody wants to see that because he's going to be here for quite a while. He's got potential. And like, I don't think anyone really faults him for struggling at his first look at Major League pitching, especially his first 3 weeks looking at Major League pitching. Like, if he turns it around and has a good second half, I don't think that's going to surprise anybody. And if the end of his contract ends up looking okay, I don't think it's going to surprise anybody. But the fact that he's under a microscope right now is really what's hurting Kazuma Okamoto.
Yeah, he's absolutely under a microscope because the rest of the team is playing bad around him and they're losing games and he is not contributing to them turning it around. And when he was brought in, he was expected to contribute to winning baseball. This is the guy that they brought in to replace Bo Bichette. Whether you believe in a 1-for-1 replacement, which I don't think either of us actually do, but like if you think about it from a more, and I don't want to call people casual fans, but a more casual point of view, this is the guy that they brought in to replace Bo Bichette. And like, this is the production you're getting, and this is your first impression of him. I don't blame you for being upset. I blame you for jumping off the train or the bandwagon at this point already. It's way too early for that. And like, there's a long road ahead. I think I actually kind of liked what I saw a little bit more, very like just a touch more from him at the plate in this series. But I think you're right. I think people will turn on him.
And Bo Bichette, fan favorite, loved for years. You still see Bichette jerseys at the Rogers Center like crazy. So the fact that Okamoto is getting some of that hate too isn't good. If we're looking for small steps of improvement, Owen, you said you saw one. He did get a hit off a curveball this week, which I think was only the second time he's got a hit off an off-speed pitch this year. So good. You can tell he's actively trying to make adjustments at the plate. Like, he has realized now what pitchers are trying to do with him, and you can see the process work of him trying to work through it. I'm sure it will click. Just give it more time.
Yeah, needs more time. There is not much more time because we spent the first like half of this episode talking about like there is no more time. You have to start playing better now, and that's it.
I agree. And that's the problem. We got to hope those two things line up. And who knows, maybe a big clutch Okamoto hit can be the thing that turns the Blue Jays around and gets them going. And let's hope we can manifest that. Yeah.
They need it so bad. Okay. Do you have Lenyn Sosa thoughts? Like, I honestly don't really. I think like I already gave the front office credit for bringing him in. Like, he looks hitterish at least a little bit. Like, he's hit the ball kind of hard a few times. Pretty much exactly as advertised, swinging probably too much, very eager to like put the ball in play. And not really making me feel very comfortable with his second base defense, but like, who else is going to stand there right now?
I mean, the trade for Jordan Rich, who is a prospect I had never heard of in my life, and cash considerations doesn't mean much to me, so it's worth getting a look at Lenyn Sosa. Honestly surprised the White Sox kind of let him go. I did notice he had different colored shoes. That caught my attention. One green cleat, one white cleat. I I don't know. It's wild when the first things I notice are the apparel he is wearing on the field than the play itself. But he does have, he had a double. He had hits in all 3 games. He's got a 105 WRC plus on the season when you combine it with 2 teams. The thing I noticed too, and Dan Schulman brought it up a few times with Sosa, is that this guy hit 22 home runs with the White Sox last year. And I'm thinking, well, Vlad only had 23 home runs with the Blue Jays last year. So if we get the home runs on the pace that Vlad did last year, yeah, okay, I'll take that. And, we saw the double and, he has yet to draw a walk on the season. So and that's with his stint with both teams. You'd like to see that improve a little bit. But, hey, if he can run into some home runs, the Blue Jays kind of need that right now. So yeah, I'm intrigued.
So I think intrigued is the way to put it. I think he might be the first guy to lose his job when they bring a position player off the IL. Is that George? I don't know. I don't know if that's true at this point, but I guess we'll see. So the difference between Vlad and Sosa, 1 home run and 50 points of weighted runs created plus.
Yes,
I don't want that to get blown out of proportion. This guy is not he's a league average hitter last season. So hopefully he can maybe progress into a slightly above league average hitter in his time with the Blue Jays, because Lord knows they need it. Yeah.
He has yet to barrel a baseball this year, the perfect combination of exit velocity and launch angle. Unless he did it today and I missed it, he has yet to have a barrel. So there's that for Sosa.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not great, Jesse.
I agree. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Sosa.
Yeah, no, not much for me either. Is there much else from this series that you really feel the need to get to? Because can we be honest, it was not good baseball.
We do got to talk starting pitching. We got to talk about Patrick Corbin, Dylan Cease, Kevin Gausman. Can I start with Patrick Corbin and what I saw here today?
Yeah, because that was my first question. I want to know what you think.
Perfect, because I thought he was actually good. The stat line was much better. He pitched into the 6th inning, only 4 hits, struck out 6, walked 1, much better. His command was better. We saw in his first start, he had hit a couple batters, got into trouble. He didn't allow a home run today, which fantastic for Patrick Corbin. And I was really watching him with that cutter. He was able to get it inside to right-handed hitters a lot more. We saw in the last series, when he gave up a bunch of home runs, that cutter was coming right over the middle of the plate, and they were doing it. He did get quite a bit of soft contact. He did jam a few Brewers guys by getting that cutter on the inside. So I was encouraged by that, and he's definitely earned himself a few more starts here. And if he can do that every single time, which is a big ask for Patrick Corbin, but if he can do that, he at least gives the Blue Jays a chance to win. So I am leaving encouraged after Pat Corbin start today.
Okay, so if Trey Yesavage makes his next start in what would it be, Los Angeles? I don't even know. For the big league team, does Patrick Corbin lose his job, or does Max Scherzer get sent to the bullpen or cut, or is it Eric Lauer sent to the what's the deal?
I think it's probably Eric Lauer, but let's see how they do in this series against Arizona.
Eric Lauer to Buffalo? Does he have options?
No, Eric Lauer to the bullpen.
Okay, but
Joe Mantiply doesn't need to be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that. I really liked what I saw from him today, honestly. Whenever you can hold the team, and again, hospital ball Brewers, not the actual Brewers, but the team with Wilson Contreras and Gary Sanchez, say what you want, kind of scary right-handed hitters. Same with Luis Rengifo, maybe not Aaron Judge level scary right-handed hitters, but these are guys that can hit a home run, and he actually was able to kind of hold them down today, and he was very effective against the lefties. So he definitely earned himself another look for me, with maybe some more actual open eyes. I kind of am more intrigued now than I was when he signed.
Yeah, and Bryce Strang is legit. He's a really good hitter. He's very, very good. And, Patrick Corbin was able to shut him down there too. Let's talk about the other 2 starters here. I guess you can take one and I'll take the other, but Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cease. Who'd you want to touch on?
Dibs on Cease.
Done.
Cease, really good. It's I talked last time, Dylan Cease versus the 6th inning is the impossible, immovable force versus a stoppable object. He got through 6 innings, only gave up 2 hits, didn't allow a run. Again, walked 3, wasn't exactly efficient. He was over 100 pitches to get through those 6 innings. So again, want to limit those walks, less 2 and 3 ball counts, Dylan. We can allow, if we're going to allow a little bit of contact, that's fine. A little bit of soft contact is okay. We don't have to get into 3-2 counts every time, But like I liked what he saw. He located a lot of pitches. The changeup still has not had any damage against it, even though he was cutting it a lot, which I really didn't love to see. And it's something to keep an eye on going forward. If he can kind of correct that and actually make that a viable, like fading pitch away from left-handed hitters. But again, like the fastball was good, like up to 100. Like what else is there to say other than ace? I cannot believe they wasted that start and lost that baseball game.
Yes, that's the whole undertone out of all of this. But Dylan Cease absolutely did his job there. That game I was listening to on the radio, so I didn't get to see his stuff as clearly as it was on TV. But did you notice anything he did different with his pitch mix arsenal? Like, did he throw those changeups and sliders more, or was it quite fastball heavy? I didn't get to look. I guess sliders. I could look that up.
It was okay. More sliders. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he threw more sliders, and I think he felt better about his slider in this start than he has in his last couple starts. And like he was getting swings and misses, like back footing them to lefties, and very effective with it against the righties as well, which is encouraging to see because like this is a guy that has been known to be like 40% fastballs and 40% sliders in the past.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I wanted to keep tabs on that going forward. I'm glad that's what Dylan Cease had there. Kevin Gausman in his start, look, he was cruising. He got through the first 3 innings without allowing a run. Did allow quite a bit of hard contact in this one, and 3 walks really hurt for Kevin Gausman. You don't want to see that. I don't think his location was spot on, especially with that splitter. The Brewers were getting very good looks at his splitters, especially early in his start. Like it seemed like anytime he was throwing it below the zone, they were taking it. And so I wondered if the Brewers had maybe picked up a tell on that splitter. I think Kevin Gausman himself realized this too. And then he started throwing that splitter more in the zone. He was able to hit that consistently at the bottom of the zone. And the Brewers were taking it then too. So that was a good adjustment. And then, in the 4th, he allowed that big 3-run home run on a fastball that Valenzuela wanted up, and he hung it over the middle of the plate, and Jake Bauer sent it to the freaking moon. So that was tough to see for Kevin Gausman, but he did his job. That was really it. It's, 2-pitch mix, nothing else too crazy here in the hood. Jacob Mizorowski looks amazing, but that's not on our show and our topic. So good stuff from Kevin Gausman, more of the same. Ho-hum.
Yeah, good stuff from Kevin Gausman. I think like a classic, like didn't really have his best stuff, but gutted it out, got you through. What was it, 5 or 6? I don't even remember. But like only 3 runs. Like good job, Kev. Good stuff from the Blue Jay starters. Like something that we were really concerned about last time we talked, and actually kind of like they settled it down. I'm really a little bit worried to see what it looks like with Max Scherzer and Eric Lauer this weekend. But like time rolls on, I guess, and we're gonna have to watch it anyways. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes, and just one more hitting note before we talk about the rehab assignments and the injuries here. Jay's got 2 home runs this series, one by Andres Jimenez, one by Dalton Varsho. Both were in game 1 of this series. For Varsho, that was, I believe, his 3rd in like 5 games. Still on a bit of a heater. And for Andres Jimenez, I don't think I've ever seen him hit a pitch more inside down the plate than he did on his home run. Impressive swing there for Andres Jimenez. Do you have a thought on either of those?
Yeah, Andres Jimenez getting Mizorowski on a fastball inside off the plate, got his hands in, and kind of a no-doubter. It was like he's got kind of a pretty swing. I think Andres Jimenez actually could be a decent like little hitter. He's just got to like be able to extend this over the full season. I think he's looked great. And Varsho getting on a heater at the exact right time in front of Vlad. And we didn't even talk about Vlad really, but like he did not get a single pitch hit the entire series. And how can you blame the Brewers for that based on who's hitting behind him? I already did that. I'm not going to slander any more names in this podcast, but I think having Varsho in front of Vlad, I think is really helping Varsho out, and you love to see him tap into that power a little bit.
Yep, I think he should stay there when Barger and company come back. I think you keep him in that 2 hole because he can go his home run off a fastball. Nope, not off a fastball, off a curveball, off speed. First home run he's hit off an off-speed pitch this year, which is what Dalton Varsho is going to do. So that was very good. I enjoyed that. All right. Anything else on the offensive side of the ball that caught your attention?
No, I want them to score more runs in Arizona. That's mostly it.
Same. Hey, it's warm in there. They're playing at somewhat altitude, their roof at least won't be leaking, who knows, maybe vibes get better. And sorry for Mike Soroka. And I believe we got Zach Gallen in here. These are guys that are gettable. So I think we should be okay.
Yeah. Ryan Nelson, not exactly striking fear into my heart. So So yeah, if we want to do injury updates, and then we'll do a quick preview. Trey Yesavage threw a couple days ago at Buffalo, 4 1/3 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits and 3 earned runs. Only walked 1 in 5 Ks. Apparently, he looked like himself, according to John Schneider. I have a hard time putting a lot of stock into rehab outings, as long as his velo is where it's supposed to be and he's throwing his off-speed pitches enough. I'm not going to press the panic button. I need to see it in the big leagues before I really care.
But hold
Do
on,
you have a thought on that?
Owen. The velocity wasn't where it needs to be. Yeah, his velo was down about 2 miles per hour based on last year,
Oh,
about 1.5 to 2 if you look on Baseball Savant. And I was watching this start too, and like the splitter just didn't seem to have that much movement to it. Maybe it was just the angle in the minor league ballpark that I was watching there, but it didn't seem too much. And like Dylan Cruz took him deep, who like has been demoted from the Nationals out there. So that was a little worrisome. Remember the report earlier, he was getting lit up by minor league guys too. And like I understand minor league start rehab. Maybe this is just part of the spring training process for him. I get it, but I'm not worried yet, but I'm taking notes of this from Trey Yesavage, and I would love to see that dominant stretch. At least let us know you've still got it, and he hasn't yet on any of his rehab assignments.
so my bad for being misinformed on that fastball velocity. Now I can't be concerned. Like, it's an adrenaline thing, hopefully, and
yeah,
like
and
he is
being
dealing
concerned
with
is
the
not the
shoulder
right
thing.
take.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it's time to be concerned. I feel a little bit less comfortable if his next start is at the big league level, but I think like you kind of can't really afford for it to be anywhere else at this point. So let's see it, Trey.
And it wouldn't surprise anybody if he comes into Anaheim and throws six shutout innings, strikes out 9. Like that's not going to surprise anybody, but it would be really nice to see.
He's also very easily optionable. As much as it's kind of weird to say and how much he meant to this team very, very recently, he's very easy to send down to AAA.
I hope we don't have to ever do that, but yes, I understand the sentiment there.
Yeah.
And then José Berríos, the other guy. Tell me about him.
Yeah. So today, his first rehab appearance at Low A Dunedin, he gave up 4 runs on 4 hits, including a walk in the first inning. Kind of settled in from there. Ended up giving up 5 earned over his 2 1/3. Got to about 50 pitches, but the fastball velo was actually good for him. So maybe that's what I was thinking. I got him and Trey confused, but he was 93 to 95 with the heater. So encouraging start. Everything was in the zone for him except for that one walk. I don't know. We've seen a lot of major league pitchers get roughed up in minor league rehab outings against 18-year-olds. At this point, I'm kind of used to it. Like, are you concerned about that? Like, are you moving at all based on that stat?
No, but I'm reading Keegan Matheson's report right now. Like the velocity was up everywhere. Sinker was up 1.3 miles per hour. Fastball velocity was up 1.2 miles per hour. The slurve and changeup are both up as well. And, you know, I would like to see him find the command because the stuff has not been good for José Berríos for quite a while now. So he really does need to locate excellent or else it's going to be a problem. The walk was good. He was probably just too much in the zone for this one. And that's the thing that's going to come with more reps for José Berríos. So a little different concern with Berríos and Trey Yesavage, but if you think José Berríos is coming up here and saving our season, it might happen, but good luck.
Yeah, I think the only thing saving the season is a combination of Trey Yesavage, José Berríos, and Shane Bieber, and Alondro Kirk and Addison Barger or George Springer. Anyways, yeah. Speaking of George Springer, like sounds like they're pretty confident it is the minimum IL stay. So what would that be back next week? Like the week series?
Yeah, by the homestand at least when we return back to Rogers Center.
Yeah, so that seems good. Encouraging. He's a guy you need back. You scored 1 run each of the last 2 days, so I guess a broken toe to George Springer can't make the offense worse.
I agree. It'd be good to have him back. The good news is I don't think a broken toe affects his swing, so he was just starting to get that back in there. Doesn't sound like he's going to need a rehab assignment either. Sounds like George Springer will be back before we know it.
Okay, and Addison Barger, we kind of got into this a little bit already, but it sounds like he's a little bit longer. You said today he is eligible to come off the IL, and there's kind of no word around that. Yeah. It's something they were hoping would be the minimum. When you sprain 2 ankles on the same play, maybe that takes a little bit longer than we expected.
Yeah, and he's just now getting back to baseball activities, swinging a bat, and I don't even think he started running yet. That's weird. That's weird for ankle injuries, and that you can't even swing the bat or anything like that. That's just odd. something might be up there a bit more than we think with Addison Barger.
Oh God, I don't even want to talk about that. And we're at the end of this episode,
Yeah,
so
and
we're
I'm
gonna be
just-
saving that
I'm
for
speculating.
later.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so this week we have the Diamondbacks. Jays are headed to Arizona. They are going to line up Eric Lauer against Michael Soroka. A little Canadian action there. He's actually off to a very good start this season, so that kind of doesn't really strike fear into my heart. But it's noted. Max Scherzer looking to bounce back against Zach Gallen, and then it's going to be Kevin Gausman and Ryan Nelson in the series finale. Do we have a series prediction here, Jesse? Do we even care to bother to do that?
I mean, I'm going to keep predicting a series win until eventually they get one. I will say Mike Soroka, 2.87 ERA on the season, 5.80 expected ERA. So I would like to think the Blue Jays get some positive regression in that front and can maybe tee off. Set and like 92, like even the stuff and location numbers aren't that good for Mike Soroka. So I think he's gotten lucky on the season so far, and I really hope the Blue Jays can deliver some positive regression. Ryan Nelson, fastball pitcher. Blue Jays could kind of see some guys who could tee off on a fastball right now. So I like the Blue Jays' chance to get the bats going here. Maybe that's the optimistic person in me. I see there's no reason to make you think otherwise other than blind faith at this point, but I like to think they get it done, and we take 2 out of 3 going to LA.
Yeah, I think Jays take 2 out of 3 here. They win a series, and for no other reason than the fact that they're due. There's no way they can lose 6 series in a row, right? There's just no chance.
As we stare quietly into the cameras here in case it does happen. Go from that too. It would be nice too to see the Blue Jays get a win where they lead start to finish. Like of their 7 wins, 5 of them have been comeback wins as well. So it'd be nice to see them have just we take the lead early and we keep it the whole game. Like a laugher, if you will. They kind of need one. And I think their one's going to come this series.
I think an easy one. I think that's the perfect way to put it. I could not have said that better myself. And that's why they pay you the big bucks, Jesse. And I want to thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the J Center podcast. If you enjoyed, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Check out J Center. There's a lot of good articles up there. Again, the videos are coming soon from me. And give us 5 stars. Helps us out a lot. And check us out on social media. You can find us both on Twitter. We're pretty active over there and would love to hear from you. So, let us know. And Jesse, once again, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. We'll be back to recap a series win against the Diamondbacks, guaranteed, loosely, next week for next episode. Hopefully.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much, and we will talk soon.
Cheers.